The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated here
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my tickets!
Everybody loves Hypno Toad.
Scary dog!
Pearson and Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show is Good Omens, Season 2, brought to you by the good people at Narrativia, Amazon Studios, the BBC Studios, and the Blank Corporation. Good Omens is a British fantasy comedy series created by Neil Gaiman based on his and Terry Pratchett's 1990 novel of the same name. A co-production between Amazon Studios and BBC Studios. The series was directed by Douglas McKinnon, with Gaiman also serving as showrunner. Michael Sheen and David Tennant lead a large ensemble cast that includes John Hamm, Miranda Richardson, Michael McKean, Derek Jacobi, Brian Cox, Benedict Cumberbatch, Frances McDormand, not lying naked in a river, as the voice of God who narrates the series. The second series was released in its entirety on Amazon Prime Video on July 28th, 2023. The second series, set post-COVID 2019 lockdown, concerns the Archangel Gabriel arriving without his memories to Aziraphale's bookshop. Aziraphale and Crowley attempt to find out what happened to Gabriel and also to hide him from heaven and hell, both of which are eager to find him. And I am eager to introduce my co-hosts and guests and friends tonight. First, from the Thanos and Warlock podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Smiling Al Sedano. How do you do, sir?
I'm good. Thank you. Oh, I'm looking forward to talking about this show because I just finished watching it like 2 days ago.
Isn't
So
it fun to watch fun shows that are well written?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, ooh, this is different.
Al, when was the last time you were on my network?
Been a little while.
I want to say it's got to be when we talked about the comic and movie.
Logan's Run.
Thank you, Logan's Run.
Oh yeah, so around like Christmas time.
Come for the science fiction, stay for the critical race theory. I remember. That's what I wanted to talk about. Was critical race theory, the whole show.
That's all. What else is there to talk about?
And ladies and gentlemen, my brother from another mother, my primary partner, ladies and gentlemen, howling mad, Jesse Starcher. How do you do, sir?
Oh my goodness, Mark Radulich. I am ready to talk some David Tennant. I'm ready to talk about some Good Omens season 2, something I wasn't expecting. And hey, it's been, what was it, 4 years since season 1? Was it 4 years?
It said 2019, so yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was gonna say, like, we decided that we were gonna do this. I'm slowly adding back things that I initially cut from the post-social schedule, and also like giving half the business to Alexis freed me up to talk about shit that I want to talk about that's for adults instead of the childish morass that is the Marvel and Star Wars show. And Jesse's like, shut up, I like that stuff, but those are my friends. Jesse, you and I
my heart's not broken. Go ahead.
That's okay, Jesse. You and I are going to talk to Deuce in a few weeks.
That's right. We are.
That's right. Anyway, I completely fucking forgot what happened in this show. Like, I remembered Michael Sheen. I remembered David Tennant. I remembered, Angels and Demons, Heaven and Hell. On my kid's life, I couldn't remember what happened in that first season. It was so long ago. So I start watching this, and in walks a naked John Hamm, like you do. And I'm like, that's Gabriel. Oh, thank God they're doing flashbacks because I don't remember the fuck what happened to him. and then we just kind of go from there. And it's like, it doesn't seem like it was entirely dependent on the first season anyway. It definitely seemed very compartmentalized. Like we are onto a it's almost like an anthology series. Like, unlike a lot of other television shows where you have to have watched the first season to really understand what's happening in the second season, this one seems to be operating, Jesse, independently of that. Like, okay, book 1 ended, now we're on to book 2, an entirely new story. Because I think even the stuff that happened to John Hamm's character, Gabriel, is told in flashback, but I don't think any of those things happened in season 1.
No, everything. This is more like The Hobbit, that was The Hobbit. This is Lord of the Rings. I don't mean as in scope, maybe, but in the fact that like that was one story. This is another related to it, but not dependent on that one. Or going on something I know that's going to be more from what you said, more your speed, Mark. This is the first one with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and now we have this. Now we have the part 1 of the part 2 Spider-Man, Enter the Spider-Verse or whatever it's called now. Because I know that's more what you're going to understand.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate you, buddy.
I'm going to break it down for you.
I that's why you're here, sir. I was doing some research before the show started tonight about what all was going on with the writing of this show, and they said that and even I think Robert kind of, when we mentioned that we were doing this last night during our creator review, he was like, yeah, they pretty much knocked out the entire first book in those first 6 episodes of season 1. So, like, I don't know what season 2 is about. And there is no book. There's talks of a second Good Omens book, but it has not been written yet. So what I think Terry Pratchett was saying, or Neil Gaiman was saying, season 2 of Good Omens, the television show, is sort of the bridge between books. Whether or not there'll be a season 3, whether or not there'll be a second book remains to be seen. But that is where we are, Jesse.
Yeah. I was seeing the same thing there, where they were talking about how season 3 will most likely rely upon a lot of their unpublished ideas. So this is the bridge in between, from my understanding, which is fine. There'll be some criticism, I think, that we talk about with this season that makes me think it would have been nice to have been able to base this off a book because I felt like we needed some kind of structure to this season and it wasn't really there, and it's kind of evident.
There's a word for what this season is. It's not bad. It's it's quite good. There's definitely some things in it that are grist for the mill, worth talking about, conversation starters, if you will. But if I can find one big overall umbrella criticism of season 2 of Good Omens, it is meandering. Oi. Like, if you don't have that kind of through thread of what they're doing with Gabriel and his amnesia, you got nothing else going on in this show. And the last 2 episodes, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but those last 2 episodes, it kind of feels like the end of a roller coaster where you've been for 4 episodes, you were creeping all the way up. And then for the last 2, you go in a loop-de-loop a few times and then you're done. And you're like, wow, that went quick. That was a lot in 2 episodes, man. Yeah. Al, you were starting to say something.
It felt to me a bit like, from what I remember, it's been a while since I read it, but reading Sandman, which, was written by Neil Gaiman. A lot of the times, a lot of the story arcs, the main thrust of whatever the immortal characters were doing kind of delved into more of, okay, what's going on with these mortals and their things that somewhat relate to it, but it was like a way of telling these other other stories through that story. Because otherwise the main story would be like an issue or 2, maybe 3. Right. Like here, that would have been like 2 or 3 episodes at tops. But if we weave in these other stories through it of their time.
Right. Yeah, I think most of what we get here in this season is all about establishing who our 2 main characters are and their relationship. And it's I appreciate that. I mean, I really do, because I think we need that getting to the finale of what we have here in this season. But it was tough to kind of sit through some of the stuff. I'm not saying it was horrible. I'm just saying that, okay, well, we're going to get there at some point where our destination is. The loops are going to happen. We're going to, we're going to retread some stuff, and we're going to try and cement how these 2 characters feel about each other. And that's kind of what I've got from this. And it is, I think, like, there's 3 episodes of like really main plot here, and then 3 other episodes of where things are just like, okay, this is what happened in the past. This is kind of how they act with each other, and hilarity ensues. So, but
me,
it doesn't mean I hated it. So,
yeah,
go ahead,
no,
Mark.
it's a well written show. It's very entertaining. I think. Let me bring David on here because then we got to kind of. I was gonna say let's wait to the end, but let's get into it now because it really does color looking back on the show how you might feel about it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, David Wright, my brother in science fiction. How do you do, sir?
I have been fixing cars, but otherwise I'm okay.
Ooh.
Why don't we see your pretty face, lover?
I'm on the phone right now.
Okay,
That's dedication. Dedication
Yes.
right there. We appreciate that, David.
Chime in when you can, then, Dave. Because I don't want to bother
No.
you during your phone call.
No, as in I am using the phone to come onto the podcast.
Oh, okay. And the phone doesn't have a camera?
Yeah, it's just the optics aren't very good in here.
Okay, I got you, babe. All right. So, speaking of babe and lover and all kinds of weird phrases I'm throwing out right now, let's talk about relationships for a moment because Jesse, you mentioned it, and it's as good a place to start with this show. I really thought season 1 firmly established that these two, this angel and this fallen angel, this demon, had this centuries-long relationship, and that's a big part of season 1 is kind of showing them how they got on over time and how they formed this friendship. And season 2, I think, pushes that a little bit further. But it's weird because on the one hand, it's very much, and this I liked as a theme, it's very much dealing with how looking at the world compartmentalized, polarized, black and white damages us all. But seeing the shades of gray and knowing that sometimes you got to do a little bad to get a lot of good. Sometimes you need to do a little good to get a lot of bad. It's not as simple as always do good, always do bad. That is the major theme of this show, is exemplified by these two characters. But what kind of threw me for a loop, and I'm throwing a lot out there for you guys to respond to, so stay with me, and we'll kick this around kind of loosey goosey. What kind of killed me, especially because of the way that it concludes, is while they were focusing a lot on the shades of gray theme, and they were also moving the bouncing ball along the plot of how has Gabriel lost his memories? What are we doing to do with this? How are we going to hide him from heaven and hell, etc.? It didn't seem like they were pushing Aziraphale and Crowley together. And then at the end, where the Metatron often offers Aziraphale leadership of heaven, and and they have the discussion about, why don't you come with me? You can help me run heaven. Why don't we just be us and leave all of this behind? This will ultimately destroy us both. And they end up breaking up. And I was like, it was weird. Like, I liked it, but it was it almost felt like tacked on. I didn't feel like there was a lot of season 2 leading us to that. It felt like they were doing all of these other things. And when they were resolved, there was still 20 minutes left. And they're like, well, what are we going to do with these people? I don't know. Make them gay and in love. That was, and it was a bit jarring, Jesse. It was a bit jarring, is what I'm telling you.
Okay. I think what we wind up with, for me, myself, it wasn't as jarring, I guess I would say, for me.
Sure.
I had this feeling that these two had been together for so long that it doesn't surprise me that, there were feelings between the two. And as we got towards the end, when Crowley confesses his, it's not more of a confession. It's more like, hey, look, we've been together this long.
I have not been sharing with you my true feelings for you. I've been keeping them inside. That's the whole
right
thing that he does with the girls.
Right. And I think that it helps us get prepared for season 3, because we have this love connection between these two, and now you have a situation where what do you do? Do you go against everything that you were brought into this universe for? Okay,
Mhm.
you're an angel, now he's a demon. In order to be happy, or do you? Where does your true happiness lie? And Aziraphale has to face like that choice that he has to make, and we can all agree, most likely, that he probably made the wrong choice here by going with the Metatron up into heaven to become, essentially replace Gabriel.
That is a whole separate discussion. We'll get to it momentarily.
Okay, then. but yeah, I mean, to me, it wasn't that jarring. I could see this relationship developing, and honestly, I thought, well, are they going to go this route? And they certainly did, and that's kind of what I expect.
Let me. Yeah, I'm going to get to you in just half a second, but let me throw this, Jesse, just as a slight rebuttal to that. Jesse, you and I have been podcasting together since 2013, 2014, somewhere in there, and it would be like, look, you're clearly one of my best friends, and I'm really using this as like hyperbole as like an example. Don't read anything into it, but it would be like we've been podcasting for 13, 14 years. You're my friend. You're married with kids. I have kids and all of that. And then one day in the middle of a podcast, completely out of the fucking blue, I'm like, I've been secretly in love with you this whole time, right?
But the thing there is that this didn't feel like it was completely out of the blue to me.
Okay.
And I believe Aziraphale also felt the same way.
Okay.
And
we're gonna need to hammer this out. Let me go around the horn here. We'll come back to it. Go ahead, Al.
But what I was going to say, based on something you said, Mark, that made me actually crystallize in my head. When you said seeing everything is completely black and completely white, good and evil fully is bad for everyone. And I think that was part of the thing that you got to throughout the season with all the backstories and into the end, is that both of them were angels. Crowley, as you see in the beginning, Crowley was originally an angel. He made that whole nebula and all that. I think it was a nebula. And then he was a demon. And so he went from one side to the other, and then through his relationship, as we see in both seasons, and especially in this one, the flashbacks, relationship with Aziraphale kind of goes towards the shades of gray, because he sees both sides completely and knows exactly the pitfalls. Aziraphale, which is maybe part of the reason why he made the choice he did, and that was supposed to be showing, he creeps along a little bit, but not as much, because he still stayed on the one side and still viewed it as, this is the good side, this is the bad side. Maybe it's okay to be a little bad, but it's better for you to be more good than me to be more bad. And therefore,
the conclusion he comes to, and it's shown in the bit with Job, is it is not okay to blindly follow orders when the orders themselves are inherently evil, even if they're done by the good guys. Good guys can fuck up too. That's the whole Job episode, and that's about where he gets to. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, and that's about as far, but it's still not like, hey, I don't need this. He's still, he didn't go to the other side fully, and therefore have the full perspective. And I think that was kind of the point of all that to get us to that part, is that is the whole point. Crowley has the full vision of everything, was able to see how everything worked, how everything was, and what was the better choices to make, or better sides to be on. Yeah. And Aziraphale didn't have as much. So that's why he stayed more that way. And I think that's why for me, it wasn't so much of a shock, because once I got to that point, I'm like, oh yeah, I see where we're going here now. So for me, it felt like that, but that's me, again, all these shows are all just, our own perspectives,
absolutely.
Which is what that was about, their own perspectives. His perspective was a little different. Crowley had better perspective than he did.
I think what we're kicking around right now is whether or not that conclusion, and so I can bring David in and we can continue the conversation at the same time. Let me kind of set this up. The ending of the show, after they've resolved, Gabriel goes off with Beelzebub, which you can knit in the Gabriel Beelzebub story, because that's also one where you're a demon, you're an agent of hell, I'm the archangel of heaven, but somehow we love each other and we want to be together and we want to reject all of this. And it's almost like it was done so that Crowley, David Tennant's character, could see it and go, I could have that too. I could have that with the person I've denied myself all this time. They showed me the way.
100%. Plus, I think I realized partway through, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something more than the main Gabriel plot, because they're not spending all that much time on it. So this other stuff must be the more important things. And then it definitely kicked it for me once we got to the end, and I paused and I'm like, wait, there's Oh, there's like 20 minutes left. Okay, yeah, I was right. There's more to it. I just wasn't sure
Right.
like 100% until we got to it. But it's like, yeah, if you're going to meander around that much with that stuff, it has to be that other stuff that is the meandering, so to speak, has
Yeah.
to be the more important stuff.
So ultimately, David, that's what we're talking about right now, because I said it was a little whiplashy, a little jarring, to go from all the stuff about Gabriel to really what this is about is, will Aziraphale and Crowley choose each other, or will, Aziraphale choose, and I want to say this very pointedly because I kind of want to talk about this specific thing, will he choose what he believes to be the greater good, the mission, will he choose his profession over his relationship, or will he choose the relationship? And it seemed like it almost came out of left field for me. Go ahead, David. What do you think? And you're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
trying
Cool.
not to make too much background noise here.
Perfect.
Don't know if you're getting anything, but
You're
anyway.
good.
There's a lot to unpack here. I do think it was a lot of it's almost like watching a movie where where they don't spend much time on the actual like main storyline, and then all of a sudden they just wrap it up, and then the romantic subplot was what was really the focus all along, and you're like,
Right.
what?
Where did this come from?
Yeah, I thought this was like a mystery movie, and then turns out it's a romance. Like, all right, yeah. But that does make a bit more sense now. But if you're certainly going into the show, you're like, okay, the big focus here is the mystery of, what's up with Gabriel.
Yeah.
And then they're not really doing anything. They're just doing Aziraphale and Crowley palling around through the ages, which, that was a really, really good episode of the first season. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is what happened, and that's resolved, and now, it's Crowley Aziraphale drama. I'd say, like, with Aziraphale, it's not so much his job over his love life as it's more having the ability to do maximum good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like being put in charge of heaven, as we've seen, the angels are very, very obsessed with Armageddon. So are the demons.
Armageddon out of here.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
But
Yes.
it wasn't too much out of left field when they did the confession scene, because like they had like the lesbian couples kind of egging them on for the last episode before that. It's like, oh,
Sure.
okay, I could see this going that way, and then okay, it went that way.
So let's just throw this out there. Let's discuss it now. I mean, we're 20 minutes into this. I think it's time. So for the audience who may be watching because they're interested in the podcast but didn't actually see the show, you have the Metatron that comes down from heaven and sort of tightens up all the loose ends, and then he takes Aziraphale for a walk, and he offers them, and he makes him an offer he can't refuse. He's like, "You're in charge of heaven. You seem like you have your head on your shoulders, like you know what you're doing. You've done, you've gone against the grain. You've run up the down staircase, but you did it for the greater good, and everything worked out.
Good.
Yeah, the greater good.
Yeah, you've lived among the humans for millennia.
Mm-hmm. You seem to have a handle on this more so than the people isolated in heaven. So why don't you run heaven? And you can even, bring Crowley back from the damned, and he can help you, and everybody will live happily ever after." And Aziraphale's sort of philosophy about the whole thing is, this isn't about me. It's been about me for a while. It's been about me collecting books and living a pleasant life on Earth. But now I get to be in the service for the greater good.
The greater good. Sorry,
Thank
mute
you.
button.
Nope, you're good. I paused for effect. And Aziraphale very much committed to the cause. And I think you were right, Alan, saying that David Tennant is sort of, and David, you said the same thing. He's seen both sides of the coin. He sees sort of the inherent structural, philosophical, ethical problems with both with the divine, and has sort of rejected all of it and saying, I need to walk my own path, but I'm in love with Aziraphale, and he's in love with me, whether he realizes it or not. And these girls have convinced me to confess this love to him. And so he confronts it. It's such a familiar structural thing in fiction. They both have something they have to say, and they can't, and I have to go first. Do I have to go first? Like that kind of tension. And so as David Tennant's character is like, let's just me and you. Let's confess our love for each other. Let's be together. Let's reject all things and let's go forward together, like we've always wanted to. And Aziraphale's like, I have a good job waiting for me, and it's really important.
Well, Crowley is like, I know who I am. I know what I want, and that's what I'm going to go for. Whereas Aziraphale is more like, I'm an angel. I have to do this.
I don't even think it's that he has to. There's the people that there's the sort of people that believe in the individual, and then there's the people that are driven to the greater good.
The greater good.
And myself be damned. And therein lies the conflict. But what I really want to talk about, what I really want to hammer down, is they have this centuries-long relationship, romantic or otherwise, and it crashes and burns after Crowley admits that he loves him, and they have this big romantic kiss, and it's really fantastic. And it fucking killed me, bro. Jesse, to see someone love another person so much, and to see that other person not receive that love, reject it, and say, but I want something else, and have the first person just angered, frustrated, disappointed, leave in a huff, and feel like his heart's broken. Oh, did I fucking lose it at the end of that scene? I went into our group chat of podcasters, and I fucking talked about how like my face hurt from crying. Like, that was a rough scene. And I think what makes it rough, and the beauty of television, the kind of television that I talk about on here, is how relatable it is to the greater human experience, Jesse.
Yeah. And also, the ending credits rolling for I don't know how long, like maybe 3 minutes, and all you see is both of them just going their separate ways.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah.
Man.
ow, my heart.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And that's all you watch. And I'm like, there's an after credit scene, right? Nope, afraid not. Yeah, it was great cinema. It is a great setup for season 3. That's for sure. If season 3 can happen, then my goodness, this
in 2027.
Yeah, like, do I gotta wait that long?
I mean, could they at least do real quickly? Could they do like just a TV movie there to bridge the gap? Just show us. Let's just see the adventure, the illegal adventures of Jane Austen. Let me see that. Let me see Jane Austen committing crimes.
That's a great line. Jane Austen wrote books. Wow.
Let me see him with Jane Austen committing crimes for like an hour and a half. That'll be a nice bridge. Give me that in a year or two.
Crowley and Jane Austen, Bonnie and Clyde movie. I'm down, Al.
Yeah.
Jesse, put that in the chat GPT.
Put it. I'll have it right up. But yeah. I mean, it was pretty soul crushing to watch that. I think Aziraphale is just, I don't know the best word to describe him. I mean, he wants and sees the good in everything and hopes that the good happens in everything. And so he was hoping
he's committed to doing good works. Like, that's his whole thing. It was like this isn't about me and you. This isn't about us as individuals or a couple. This is about the greater good.
The greater good.
Thank you.
And he had to come up. He had to unmute himself to do that. It was great.
I love Dave. It's just like he keeps going with the gag.
He's got his finger in that button waiting for it.
Hit that fucking drum every time, and he's right there for it, man. He hits the ball every time.
I've been doing that gag since I walked out of the theater.
But yeah, like, I'm gonna let you finish your point. But I mean, this is Aziraphale's whole thing. This is about doing the best things for humanity. This is about doing the right thing. And Crowley's like, there is no right thing. Isn't that the whole point of all this?
Yeah. And Aziraphale wants and believes that's my guess, is that he believes that Crowley can see that. And it's, I guess it comes down
Can't you see, Crowley, what you do to me? Sorry, go ahead.
Has anybody whipped out Mr. Crowley yet? Because I feel like we need to bring Ozzy Osbourne into this. But no, I think that he is hoping that Crowley is like, okay, this is the one time for you to not be selfish. Join me. I mean, he gave him the opportunity. Come up there, become an angel again. Everything is good. And I think Crowley sees it as, you want to go work for these people again? You want to go? Have we not? I mean, we've talked about this for centuries.
Did you not see what happened to the last boss?
Right.
The guy who showed up naked. Has been living here drinking hot chocolate for the last 6 weeks.
Nothing else. Good Omens is like, showing you these different things that have happened because of the capriciousness of the divinity. And so like Job, I go back to that episode. It's probably the best episode of the entire thing.
Yeah, I like that one.
Oh, that was great.
Because it's this debate. The story of Job, for those that don't know, and read your Bible, it's God and the devil have a bet. And so Job is God's favored mortal, and he has all of these riches, he has all of these children. Job lives the life of Riley, and the devil goes, meh. He's only praying to you. He only worships you because you've bestowed upon him such great gifts. And God's like, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna fuck this guy up, and you're gonna say he's still gonna love me because God's a pimp. And
I'm just I picture like the Mark Radulich, Bible, and that's in red. What you just said was in red because that's
so God pimp slaps Job just to prove the devil wrong. And relative to Good Omens, Aziraphale's like, seems like a bit much. Like, we're gonna kill a kid to make a point. I don't feel like we're the good guys in this one. And Crowley's like, no, he's not.
Like, I think Crowley, it's not so much that he is selfish. It's Crowley does believe in like doing good. It's just you're not going to do good working in heaven.
Yeah.
Like you said, point. like in heaven, like doing good was murdering all of Job's children because that's what God says we do
to prove a point.
Yeah, to prove a point. And so I think he's looking at Aziraphale like, even if you are the number one archangel of heaven, you're still stuck there with the other angels, and dare I say it, the system, quote unquote. And you're not going to change the system. If anything, the system is going to change you, and not for the better. And I think what really kind of made the relationship explode was the bit where Aziraphale says, like, you can finally join the right side again, or the good side again. It's basically like
dick.
It's basically like, no, I can change you, I can fix you. It's like, I don't, it's like, I don't need to be fixed. I'm not broken. I know what I am, and I know who I am.
See, that's not relatable or anything, guys.
So Crowley, I think his point is, like, if you want to do good, we're not going to do good by working in heaven. We're going to do good by being here on earth as an angel and a demon, using our powers, to make the world better.
Done more good so far in the last 2 seasons on their own than they did before.
Yeah. And they stopped an apocalypse.
Yeah. And from what you said, that's right. Yeah. It's like, you want to join that group. You realize all those people that were backstabbing Gabriel are still there. It's not like you're going there to take over. Oh, and by the way, we got rid of everyone who was in charge before, and you get to bring people like, let's say, Muriel. Like, if you brought her in there, like, okay, she's now going to be replacing one of those other ones that were, Michael, one of the other ones that were in charge before, and other ones like that. I could see them going, well, this could work because we're, we took down the entire power structure and starting over. But when it's like, we're just replacing guy on top with, but everyone else right there is still the same. Yeah, well, it's not really going to do much.
Hey, Jesse.
Mark.
Remember that episode in The Wire where...
Damn it, I don't have a drink tonight.
Hang on. But remember when... God, he just died. Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick is offered to be eventually captain and whatnot. Eventually he's going to be police commissioner by the mayor-elect. And he goes back to talk to the ex-wife, and the ex-wife's like, it's the same you're
right.
You might be the new guy in charge, but it's the same power structure that drove you nearly out of the fucking place in the first place. How much do you think you're going to be able to change when the superstructure around you is completely immobile and is utterly corrupted? Like, you might be able to do some good, but at what cost to your soul? And that's what you guys are talking about here with Good Omens.
Yeah. The only way you could do it is if you're
the,
weeding them out.
Yeah, like at the end of the previous season, they said like we finished the battle of between the angels and the demons or something like that. It's like, but I have a feeling the next one's going to be Earth versus everyone, or I forget the exact line, but it was sort of the idea that like heaven and hell are both equally dangerous to humanity and the universe.
If we don't have anything more on the subjects that we've been talking about, we can move on to something else as we're halfway through this. I did want to bring up, so obviously that's the stuff that jumped out at me the most. That was stuff that was most enjoyable. And in terms of other things I enjoyed, David Tennant is amazing in this, not since he was the Purple Man in the first season of Jessica Jones. And I'm not a Doctor Who fan, so I can't speak on that. But like David Tennant is by far my favorite performer in this entire play. He's fantastic. The way he walks, the way he moves, the kind of his line delivery. Like David Tennant is carrying this entire show on his fucking shoulders. Not that Michael Sheen's bad or anything, but like it's like David Tennant and then everybody else is like several leagues below him. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But in terms of like themes and ideas that the show discusses or problems I might have had with the show, the only other thing I can really think about that kind of bothered me, and I talked about this right at the top of our program tonight, where the show gets a little meandering. There were just things I didn't understand, like, why are we doing this? Okay, top of the list, the fucking dance episode. I did not understand. I thought he was kind of like, if we put the humans here, then the demons of hell can't invade, and so it's kind of a human shield kind of a thing, or it's like, if I put them here, then, like, I know the demons are coming, so I'll put them in here and they'll be safe. Why he had to make them dance, I have no idea. Like, all of it, Jesse, just seemed like there's I say this a lot in like Damn You Hollywood and some other of the TV parties that we've done, or sometimes I think the writers are just kind of sitting around going, wouldn't it be funny if? And they're like, yeah, let's do that. Like, no, I was joking. No, let's run with that. I'm like, God damn it, why do I talk? and in this case, it was like, why don't we just have a whole scene where everybody in the Shopkeepers Association is just dancing for no apparent reason? Maybe I'm a toaster oven, but I didn't get that fucking scene at all. And it was yet another one of those where like the Job stuff all works. The Job stuff is all pertinent to the overall arc of the story. The Nazi episode made some degree of sense. I had no idea what we were doing with the dancing.
The dance thing, from what I understand, was trying to get Nina and oh my goodness, what's the other girl's name? Help me out.
Oh God, I'm blanking.
I asked too quickly. Hurry up, internet. Maggie.
Maggie, yes.
So they were trying to get both Nina and Maggie to fall in love, and I think that was one more last-ditch effort to make that happen.
And it's also
that convoluted.
And even with being as on Earth as long as they have, while they understand humanity way more than the other angels, I mean, as you saw with the Muriel, it's like, oh, you're a police officer, you must arrest me now. Sure, okay. They still don't get it fully there because they're not human, so they still don't get it. So he thinks, oh, Jane Austen, well, that works in the book, so this will work here.
Right.
Well, that got fucking right past me.
Yeah. I mean, that was my understanding was they had that little bit of a subplot to try and get those two to fall in love. And I mean, it's interesting to watch an angel and a demon interfere with, the likes of humanity so much that they're going to try and make two people fall in love, which is not an easy thing to do.
But they were doing it to cover their own mess. They performed a miracle to hide Gabriel from heaven and hell, and then they got caught, and they were like, oh, it's really, we were trying to push these two women together.
Okay.
And that led to the fucking dance thing? We're still doing it by that point? Wow, dude.
I mean, I think they were invested. They wanted to try and get these two to actually...
and they didn't know it didn't matter anymore. So as far as they knew, it still mattered.
Right.
They saw that one Muriel. That's why Muriel was there. She was there to watch them to see that they felt that they did fall in love. So as far as they knew, that was keeping everyone off their back.
Right.
Until all the demons invaded, they're like, oh, well, we didn't know that was going to happen.
Seems too cute by half, Dave. What do you think?
I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying that's, point of it.
Okay. I'm not blaming you, Dave. I'm not blaming you, Al.
Oh, good,
yeah,
I wrote it.
Yeah, like I said, like at least it's a bit more relevant to the whole Gabriel thing in terms of we need to cover for the miracle, which I think kind of took precedence over the what the heck is going on part of the story, which was what I was the most interested in.
Right.
But yeah, I think, I mean, as romances go, I kind of like the whole responsible adultness in it, where they sort of get to the end. It's like, oh, you two are together. It's like, oh God, no, I just got out of a messy codependent relationship. I am in no condition to jump right into another one. But we're seeing how it goes. But I did sort of think that it was a little too perfect at the beginning, where the one woman, she kept getting texts from her current partner, and it was just like the worst person in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this relationship's probably gonna be ending soon.
My God, that whole bit was written by somebody who had been on TikTok that day, and their algorithm kept giving them narcissistic talks.
Yeah, like I appreciate it a lot more where you have two characters go through a breakup, and you actually, like, I understand exactly why both characters did what they did. No one's necessarily at fault. It's just, yeah, sometimes these things happen.
Yeah.
But, like kind of real life.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Jesse, I'm going to kick it over to you. What do you want to talk about?
I mean, I could go down through some of my favorite parts of the show, and then I'll let me start with the criticism, though. The main criticism that you've kind of already touched on is how kind of disjointed this season was. And there were times, like I finished the last 3 episodes today. I had time and I was able to binge those. But there were times where I was like, what time period am I in? And I was actually like
the fucking Witcher.
I was really confused because I was like, how in the world is he there? Oh, we're in the past now. Okay. Oh, okay. Are we back in the future? So there was a couple times where I was a little confused. And I was trying to pay attention, guys, I swear. That was probably my biggest criticism, really, of the whole season, just how disjointed things could be for me. Now, as far as my top things coming out of this season, John Hamm, always good. Always one of my favorite actors. I think he just always hits it out of the park anytime he's on the screen.
Him having amnesia and like literally having to like learn the basics of humanity at once was at times it was funny, at times it was like the same fucking joke, and I'm like, already.
Well,
so like
he's a solid second place from David Tennant for acting in this series.
Okay.
Oh, he's like the performance, yes, but they kind of gave him the same bit to do over and over again. So like, just as an example, he's putting the books in order of like by the first sentence in the book, which was hilarious. And but it starts with what comes after K. It's like what? Stuff like that. Like, I don't know. There were times where I enjoyed it because it's John Hamm doing it. There were times where just because I loathe repetition, it was grating on me.
Okay, all right.
I do appreciate that they had a little Easter egg in there where he's showing one of the angels a book, and it's The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett.
Nice.
That was a nice little.
I couldn't see.
There.
That's what it was.
Yep.
Okay, cool, nice,
very nice. Muriel was a fun little addition. Muriel showing up as the dim angel.
Oh my God, the Metatron going, and I'll take the dim one. Go, Metatron.
Poor Muriel.
Crowley playing around with her was fantastic.
What was she calling herself? Patrolman Constable or
Inspector
Constable? Yes, Inspector Constable.
That's my nickname at the swinger party house, by the way. Inspector Constable.
All right. I will also. I'm going to go ahead and throw out. At one point, I had to rewind it because the zombie episode they showed up, and there was a guy that was the first guy that they ate, and he was singing a song called "The Farting Contest," which I had never heard of in my entire life. But what was
in the chat?
Yes, it is. But what's funny is what made me like really pay attention to it was the fact that when you're watching it on Amazon, you hit pause, a little thing will pop up that says X-ray, and it'll show you like who's in the scene. The Farting Contest was a song that was listed in the X-ray, and I was like,
"Oh, fantastic.
How do I click on this and get it so I could listen to the whole thing?" But anyway, that's
coming soon to the Metal Hammer of Doom.
Farting Contest.
Jesse, that's your video for the next one.
Farting Contest. I'd love to find it. And then my last note is what I believe is I'm going to count it as 2 Doctor Who references with David Tennant in the scene. And that is at one point they're talking about the 1965 Doctor Who annual that he supposedly has in his bookshop. And I don't know if it's that same point. I think it may be the next scene where David Tennant is running around with a fez on his head.
It's the different scene. It's the guy.
Okay. All right.
When he has the fez, even though that wasn't his, that was Matt Smith's.
That was Matt Smith's, but it was a doctor. We'll put it that
still,
way.
it was fun with him playing the fez. Yeah.
There we go. So there you go. That's my top moments from the season. Overall, I enjoyed it.
All right, Al, tell me what's going on with you in this show. And you wanted to be here. We haven't seen you in a while. What's your burning desires?
Oh, well, we can't talk about that. You're not really fine enough. But anyway, but besides the point.
This is a safe space.
No, I have to say, though, I did enjoy, even though maybe overall there were some bits and pieces that were like, okay, well, this, there's some stuff. But overall, I have to say, I did enjoy this. The writing was good. I was laughing a lot and just enjoying what I was watching. Even if maybe if you look back, you go, well, okay, well, maybe this wasn't needed, or maybe this, like you said, meandered a bit or took away from the main plot. But it was damn enjoyable to watch. I mean, like we said, that whole Job thing and the way they write the bureaucratic version of the angels and demons. So it's like, no, you can't have 10,000 demons. Well, I don't have them. Can't have 1,000 demons. I give you 50. Or the whole thing about how the angels are so, and to also show that they're so separated from humanity that when the Job thing happens, it's like, here, nope, you're going to take the rib out. He's going to take your rib out, and that's going to make a kid. Gabriel was there from the beginning, right? That's how it's done, right? Oh, yeah, I saw that before. That's how it's done.
Pratchett is the guy that did Hitchhiker's Guide, right?
No, that was Douglas Adams.
Okay, my bad.
Pratchett is probably one of the few authors that I would dare compare to Douglas Adams in terms of being of equal stature. Like if I could have my dream team up book, it would be Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett writing a book together. The greatest literary work in the English language in all of history.
Nice.
Yeah. Just make sure you always have your towel, David.
Absolutely.
Well, when Al mentioned the bureaucratic side of things, I immediately started thinking of Hitchhiker's Guide for some reason. But go ahead, Al. Sorry.
But it sounds
sorry.
But
you fucking picked it. All I can think about is the Vogons and like the
oh yes,
like,
absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, no. So like those are the bits. That's parts I really enjoyed was like that bureaucracy and showing how, even though they were closer, you still could see the difference between. I mean, you could see the difference between Aziraphale and Crowley dealing with humanity, and even they're how off they were still, even having been there for so long.
I think
and being on their own.
A great little beat about like you can live among humans for centuries and still not really understand them. It's what I always say about like Hollywood remakes. Like you think you know why this was popular, but you miss the point entirely, and what you produce is sort of hollow, shallow, vapid. The bit where they're trying to initially push them together, like, well, humans like rain, right? And if we get them wet, they'll fall in love. Which, because I'm a pervert, laughed myself silly.
But yeah, exactly. Showing, because like they don't.
They're underneath that bit where they're underneath the awning and it fucking collapses. It's just doused in water. I was like, ah.
He's like, oops.
So close.
Great.
But yeah, this thing, like they don't understand that. Like they don't have to do human stuff. I mean, it shows right in the beginning when he's like, oh, you don't have the money for rent. All right, whatever. Here. Oh, you have to give me some. Here, give me the record. Okay, that works. That's covered. It's like, yeah, because you don't have to worry about money. They don't care about money or a job. They're that type of job or food or shelter or things like or mortality. So,
yeah,
they don't get it. So that's one of the fun things I think about especially when Neil Gaiman does stuff like that with Immortals and Humanity, is how they don't get it.
Mm-hmm. All right, what about you, David? I know you were. You had actually contacted me about a week or so ago, and you're like, "I'm down for Good Omens." I'm like, "All right." So, I hope you've watched it less than a year ago.
Yes.
What's on your list of burning desires?
Yeah. To be fair, we didn't delay this one 2 or 3 times.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying, for the original date, I would have been current, but
okay.
Anyway, moving on. I'm a big Terry Pratchett fan. Like I've read almost all of the Discworld books. Neil Gaiman, I'm not as familiar with his work, but I think I've kind of been exposed to enough that he's respectable. So yeah, when I heard that they were doing like the first Good Omens show, like I had heard that it was a good book. I never read it, but I watched the show. Greatly enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I was curious to see what they would do for a season 2, especially because, like, as far as I know, they did the whole book in the first season, and Terry Pratchett regrettably, passed away a few years ago. So, they were going ahead without him, and his absence is deeply felt in this season. Like the wit and the humor and the whimsy just aren't nearly as good as they were in the first one. I thought the idea of like the mystery of what's going on with Gabriel was an interesting take on it, and like all the performances involved were really well done. I think as I mentioned before, my kind of big problem was I was focused on the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Like the important thing of like, why do we have the Archangel of Heaven as an amnesiac at this bookstore? Like that's kind of like a big question. And even when like Crowley is sort of able to hypnotize him, he sort of alludes to like, I can't tell you what's going on. It's too horrifying. And then they kind of just do nothing with it until like the very last episode. Like they even do that whole thing where Aziraphale goes out to that pub in like Scotland to because it keeps playing the song he's humming, and all he learns is that the jukebox keeps playing the song he's humming. That was it. Like,
well, they show you what the meaning of that is later on,
later on, but like in a good mystery, like they would have like learned something, which would have like upped the stakes.
No, I'm with you. The audience got it, the character didn't. Which is a weird take on it.
Get together. It's just like, okay, Gabriel was here. Okay. And like this doesn't, if they said like, oh, Gabriel was here, then like they see like a picture and there's him with Beelzebub. It's like, well, hang on, what's Beelzebub doing here? And then, now, we have a new piece of the puzzle, whereas it's just Aziraphale traveled all the way to Scotland just to confirm what we already know.
I'm going to throw one last question out there, and then we'll wrap. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the podcast. The sexual tension between season 1 and season 2 between Aziraphale and Crowley is palpable. I'm wondering if they didn't do it a disservice by acknowledging it openly and not leaving it as an unsaid but unrequited love, Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, David.
Sorry. Yeah. It kind of came to me as this whole sort of like, well, Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes, they're really good friends. They are such good friends. They've been friends for such a long time.
Oh, you're tapping into like make everybody gay, and I kind of didn't want to because
I mean, like,
no, it's fine. Go ahead.
I mean, to sort of cut that one off there. I mean, I think it's just the same as we've got two people of the same sex that are really good friends, and then half the country is going make them gay, and the other half is going make sure that they're not gay.
Right, and Hollywood firmly in the make them gay category.
Yeah, so just to sort of head that one off, I wasn't trying to get too political there, but
there's an argument because but somebody's going to come diving into the podcast going, no, that's the problem. Everyone can't be gay. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Like, mind you, it's kind of the same thing where you do have like a heterosexual couple in the show where and then it's will they, won't they, and of course will they always wins. Well, like I just want to like see like can we have a
except at the end of Pacific Rim, went entirely against the history of fiction.
I give you that. That was amazing and epic at the end of Pacific Rim. The two of them were just like, you know what? We're just co-workers.
That was great.
A man and a woman can be in a like relationship professionally together, even friends, without having to bone. Like, good on you. Like this happens in real life a lot of times.
God, the name of this TikTok is going to be "Not Everyone Has to Be Gay," for God's sake.
Oh dear, so now that we're all canceled by everyone.
Welcome to my show.
Yeah, but yeah, it just kind of felt to me a bit more like we need something dramatic to do because we don't have any other ideas. So let's do they're lovers and now they're breaking up and drama and
that's what I'm saying. Like I was perfectly fine with sort of but again, Jesse, that. This time for real, that it's like the sexual tension between these two characters is thick and meaty, but they don't. But like it's stronger unacknowledged. Like we're all grown ups here watching this thing. we get it. They're kind of gay for each other, but they're not acting on it because the show is about more than that. And then, like a fucking toddler, the writers of the show is like, no, everyone's gay, and like matches them together like action figures.
So, okay, this just kind of hit me here while we were talking about this.
Speak on it, baby.
We're all making assumptions here that these obviously they're being played by two males, but this is an angel and a demon. Okay,
you're tapping into they're not gendered.
You have to. I mean, honestly, you got to step back and look at it like that.
Look at Michael.
I feel like you're more thinking about this than the writers are.
Yeah.
Well, I actually
took the words out of my mouth.
I feel like I'm putting. I think that is the spin that they had on it in the beginning. I think that is what you're supposed to. You're supposed to see that this is not.
We are seeing men, but these characters are not men. They are non-gendered.
They can be whatever they want to. I mean, Michael was played by. Michael is not played by a male actor.
It's true.
So
it's interesting. It's my problem is I'm too cynical. So Al, I'm looking at this and I'm just like, you could sit there and tell me, oh, but they're not really men. They're angels and demons, and you know, they have to have a gendered analog because this is a fictional television show. But I'm sorry, it's hard for me to buy that the writers sitting on this, that were working on this thing, were like, no, make two men kiss, it'll be fine. Do it. So I don't know.
Oh, I'm not saying that part isn't true. Both can be true. Two things can be true.
It's fair.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Now, this is just me. I didn't see the sexual tension between, as a sexual thing between Cap and Bucky. On the other hand, in the season 1, I definitely saw the sexual thing between the two of them, and this was like a romance between the two of them. So I had no question about it. And I think if they just stopped with one story, I think adding in and having a nice add-on at the end of, oh, and now we're together as a couple might have been it's like, okay, the story doesn't need that much. So if it was just Good Omens, one book, one season, that's it, fine, as it ended. If you're going to keep going on, that's something that has to resolve,
right?
You can't do that for several seasons. You can do that forever.
There were several seasons of Cheers where Sam and Diane.
It changed every season though, but there was always some kind of change. It didn't stay the same. They got together, then they broke up, then they kept changing the dynamic each season. Because I've been rewatching it. I'm on season 6 now.
I was gonna say, right. I know that.
All right, sorry, I didn't come prepared with my fucking Cheers trivia, psycho.
They beat each other up. She jumps off a boat.
Fucking Sam took a chair to Diane's head. It was amazing.
Oh, he did actually took him to court for something like that, because he supposedly beat her up. He didn't, but he faked it.
Jeez.
But I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, it didn't stay just, I'm into you, you're into me, but we're not going to say anything and nothing will happen.
I think
it did change each season.
Let me throw this out there for one last sort of go around, and then we can conclude. But I do think there's a higher order of thinking about fiction sometimes when you don't openly acknowledge something. Let it kind of sit there in the ether, kind of sniff it in the air. And I think it might add to a stronger story than blatantly screaming it at the television like an unhinged woman. And maybe that's where I'm coming from, where I'm just like, maybe this show's not totally guilty of that, but I've seen so much television that is guilty of it that now I'm prejudiced, Jesse. You know what I mean?
Okay. I get it. I mean, honestly, I would have, out of this series, what I really, really enjoy is just watching these two guys together try to understand humanity and break it down for the viewer.
Oh yeah. As a deconstruction of the divine, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just picking at this one thing.
I hear you.
Romantic subplot, yeah.
Right. And that to me, I mean, does it matter? That is what they decided to go with this season, and that's just what I had to live with. It's not like I was. I didn't hate this. I didn't hate the season for that. But what I'm saying is that although I wanted it to be a little bit something different, did I need to know that these two were going to have a relationship? That's what you're saying. Is like, should there be a will they, won't they still hanging out there? Right? Is that what you're asking?
I'm going to throw this out there, David. Like, I'm going to go to David first, then Al, then Jesse come back around. But I'm going to throw this. Does the scene maybe work better in my mind's eye if after the girls tell David, "Hey, you clearly love this dude. Go fucking tell him before it's too late and your heart crumbles and dies." And he's like, "You're right. I don't know why I haven't told him all this time for centuries on end. I'm going to do that right now." And he runs to Aziraphale, and Aziraphale having come from the Metatron, runs to Crowley, and before Crowley can say, "But I love you," Aziraphale's like, "I'm going to heaven. Goodbye." And they can still have the dialogue exchange of, "Really, heaven? Do you not see the inherent problems with that whole structure?" And he's going, just that whole back and forth. But they don't have to do the kiss, and he doesn't have to be like, it can be about you're making a decision that's bad for everybody because of the naive belief that what you're doing is the greater good.
The greater good.
Thank you. And Aziraphale. Hang on, I'll do it to myself.
Get on with it.
All right. Not wrong one. Here we go. And just have them, and then at the end, Aziraphale's like, "No, there is a calling, and I must go." And they, and you can still have David Tennant brokenhearted, but we don't have to go full on fucking obtuse. That's what I'm saying, David. I just feel like the show is really good at handling things with a deft hand, and in this one, it was fine.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea. Is have it so that Aziraphale still goes off to heaven and Crowley stays behind, but instead of them having the big explosive fight, just be Crowley being eaten up inside by I was about to tell you that I loved you,
right?
And it was now you've run away.
No, I can't now. Kind of one of those deals.
Yeah, so I think you'd still have that sort of a bit of a bitter ending, but not just so devastating, and a bit more of I'm more curious to see where this is going now, as opposed to what the heck was that?
Yeah. Jesse, look, you're about to take a shit and throw it at me. Speak on it, son.
I was just going to say that's too, in my opinion, formulaic. I mean, because if they would have ended it, I'm pointing right at you, Mark Radulich, and telling you that would have been a too formulaic way of ending the season. That is something that I could have written. And the way that
with ChatGPT's help, you fuck.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the girlfriend would come in strong on that one. To me, it just seems like I would have expected it, and I would have really disliked that ending.
Well, I'm gonna throw it to Al to settle the score here, if you want to come back. What do you think, Al?
Well, first of all, part of it's going to depend on how because this is not an ongoing series that's going to have hopefully 12 seasons. It's most likely going to be a third season, and that's it. So part of it's going to go back and look. Yeah, well, at this point, I'm assuming it's 3 seasons. And that's probably going to be it. So it's going to depend on how they end the whole thing. But I think the whole point was supposed to be that Crowley was willing to that was him throwing everything out. He is not holding anything back at this point. He is at the point where he is completely open. And that's why he did it. He's not holding anything back. If he was holding back, Aziraphale is still holding back. Crowley is nope, completely here, open, honest, everything's out there, boom. And I think now, not saying that where you were written maybe could or could not have worked, but I don't know if that's where that's where at least he wanted to go with the Crowley character of having him be at this point. I'm completely open about everything. This is where I am. This, like you said before about them choosing heaven and hell, is I know who I am and I know what I want. And this is him completely saying, yes, I do know who I am and I do know what I want and everything.
And I want you. And he was like, yes, but I'm
not going to hide anything or pretend or lie. I'm just going to be with you, open and honest.
What a tragic thing for someone to be like, all I want in this universe is you. And that person looks right back at you and say, yes, but that's not enough. I want something greater.
And that might be
for all of us.
And that might be something that's going to show exactly what we see with Crowley in the next season, maybe. Because what's the saying? What's the worst thing you could do to a paranoid? Show that they're right.
It ain't paranoia if they're really after you.
So one time someone like that is completely open and honest, and it completely blows up in his face.
Mm-hmm.
That might affect how that may be the whole point.
Please open up season 3 with Crowley drunk in a bar listening to Mr. Crowley.
It's not me.
Just
It was got spit face.
Mr. Crowley.
Not just a bar, doing karaoke.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Perfect. All right. I think unless anyone's got anything else, David.
I think we've pretty much covered all of the points I wanted to cover.
Okay. Al, you got anything else?
Nope, that's pretty much it. I mean, besides, I already said the Jane Austen thing. Jane Austen movie. Come on, let's get on with it.
Then that, folks, is our review of Good Omens Season 2. Yesterday, myself and Robert Winfrey talked over each other for 2 hours, and somewhere in there was a review of the creator. Hey, Jesse, you really should have been on that show. There was a lot of discussion of artificial intelligence running amok.
Oh my goodness. I've got to listen soon.
Yeah, our recommendation was nobody has to go see this thing in the theaters, and it's not going to last much longer either. But you should definitely watch it on PVOD and then have nightmares about the horrors of the coming artificial intelligence mass displacement of workers.
Get ready.
Yes, sir, Bob. Next week, that's it for me for this week. This weekend, tomorrow, Alexis and the children. Jesse, are you one of the children?
Am I one of the children? What's going on?
Ahsoka. David, are you one of the children discussing Ahsoka?
Yes, I am. I am one of the younglings discussing Ahsoka.
Perfect. Alexis will be leading a group of kindergartners as they discuss every child's favorite show, Star Wars.
Hey, it is about consistent with the level of maturity of people who discuss Star Wars.
Fair. All right, I'll stop being snarky now. Alexis is going to be doing a TV party for Ahsoka. Thank God I don't have to do it. You do it over there, Jesse.
I twisted my own nipple just for you.
Oh, thank you. I told you I don't follow my own rules. And God bless her for it. And then this weekend we've got the Blade trilogy re-air from our Long Road to Ruin years, and then Metal Hammer of Doom Sunday. We've got White Snake, the Poiple album. Jesse's got an Unspoken Issues for New Warriors, Scarlet Spider.
That's
on
right.
Monday. Then in the evening time, myself, Robert Winfrey, and Dorian are going to talk Exorcist Believer. I'm booting the Deuce for 2 weeks onto Halloween for reasons that are my own. How about that? But however, myself and Alexis Haina will be discussing Only Moitas in the Building Season 3 on October 19th. Al Sedano, I hear you talk about resurrections and erections.
Yep, and sometimes that bar the resurrectionist, but no. Yes, but yes, Adam Warlock and Thanos, and not the bar. Sorry, Resurrections and Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast. It's all about the Marvel characters, Adam Warlock and Thanos. It's in the name. I mean, come on, why do you ask these stupid questions? Seriously. Resurrections, just type in Adam Warlock or Thanos in whatever search thing you use for podcasts after you listen to this, and it'll pop right up.
What are you talking about these days?
Right now, we're actually just editing an episode where we're going to be talking about the recent Warlock Rebirth miniseries. With myself and John Wilson.
They did a Rebirth Warlock series?
Yes.
Okay.
It was sequel to the Silver Surfer Rebirth and the prequel to the Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy.
All of that makes my head hurt.
Oh.
Jesse Starcher and I, a couple of months back, we talked Silver Surfer Black.
Yes, we did.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, that was good. Jesse, show us where you pissed from.
Oh, my goodness, Mark Radulich. Yesterday, Unspoken Issues dropped. It's where I talk with Dean, Derry, and it's me, Dean, and Derry talking about the Spectre versus Superman. Trust me, you want to tune in for that. Happened in the 90s. The Spear of Destiny was involved. It was a lot of fun. So that dropped yesterday. And then it looks like, I think, this week is going to be the week we're dropping all the Snap materials. Mark Radulich has got a big smile on his face about those. He loves seeing those drop daily. That'll be next 5 days. I think we're going to have a total of 5 episodes where myself and Evan Bevins get together and talk about the last season and the upcoming season of Marvel Snap, that fun mobile game that's out there. And I think I have to get out of here. I got to go see Mrs. Sandwich and get a button sewn on.
Ooh.
Nobody. Does anybody get that reference?
I mean, I got it. I watched the show with you.
Okay, all right. I'm just hoping so.
No, I got you, big boy.
All right.
Speaking of big boys, David Wright will be joining me for season 2 of Strange New Worlds on October 24th. So that's it. That's all for us. Thanks. We're driving for Al Sedano, Jesse Starcher, and the late great David Wright. Be well. I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.